What is up, everyone? Welcome into another episode of the HCOM Podcast. I'm your host, Noxious, aka Nox, and I have Dozy with me again. It's been a long time, brother. Welcome back. How you feeling?
I'm good.
Feeling
I'm
warm?
happy to be
It's
here, man.
winter time.
Yeah, no, it's been horrid. I don't like the cold weather, but I'm dealing with it. It's all good.
I hate the cold. Like I got into my car this morning and I had to turn on the heater and sit there and shake until it warmed up. And I
Yeah.
have the heated seats, thank God. That helped me. But it's just like, dang. But for those of you new to the channel, Dozy is our digital media and graphic design manager. He is also a keyboard and mouse sniping heads player in Call of
Yep.
Duty. Love sniping people. I can't, as you know, I suck at sniping. But and if you are new, HCOM stands for Heavy Comms, and it's also MOCH spelled backwards. And we just kind of talk about a lot of things about esports, gaming, networking. We're gonna probably talk about more about SBMM here in a little bit, but mainly like who Dozy is, what got him into gaming, how long he's been gaming, and his role here at the Empire, and some next year goals because we are 2 weeks from the end of the year, pretty much. It's hard to believe. Closing the books here and going into 2023. So yeah, brother, take it away, bro.
Okay. Um, well, yeah, like you said, I go by Dozy. My name's Andrew, but I go by Dozy. As far as is, I'll sort of start out with how I got started in gaming, which I mean, like getting into gaming seriously didn't happen until probably about 2.5 years ago when Warzone came out, but the very first games that I remember playing, so my mom had an original Nintendo, and I had that, and I played that from when she kept it from when she was a kid, and then I played it when I was growing up, but not that much because I'm pretty sure it broke like when I was 8 or 9. So
Damn.
after that, I mean, to be honest, I wasn't really allowed to play video games that much, and I was very limited to what I could play just because I guess my parents didn't want me to have any bad influences or anything. But so yeah, so as far as is game content, it was mostly like Crash Bandicoot, sort of the G-rated games. But I didn't really get into the games which I've been playing recently, which have been like Call of Duty, mainly Call of Duty, but like shooters, until let's see. I remember getting Call of Duty Ghosts, but I had to sneak and play it because I wasn't allowed. So I would just play the bots like offline because we didn't have we didn't have Wi-Fi back then. So I would just, but I really liked it. I don't know if it's because I wasn't allowed and that's why I liked it so much. But after that,
The thrill
yeah,
of almost getting
the
caught.
thrill. But I mean, first-person shooters are fun. So after
Right.
that, when I moved in with my dad, he had internet, so I had Advanced Warfare, and I played that online. That was the first time I played games online, and I really liked that. The main thing I remember about Advanced Warfare is like what were the packs that you could unlock, like the customization things. I remember I would try to get all of the same matching exosuits or whatever they're called. um, and then I remember playing a lot of like gun game and also just like 1v1s with random people that I met, and I liked the movement, so that was fun. After that, Battlefield 4 came next. I got Battlefield 4. Really loved Battlefield 4. I played it on the PlayStation 3. I've always been sort of 2 or 3 years behind when it comes to consoles or the current gen of what's out. So I played Battlefield 4 on the PS3 for about a year. That's when I still lived with my dad. When I moved out of my dad's house, I got a PS4. I got Battlefield, I believe it was 1, because that was the next one, and I hated it. I don't know why. Yeah, I
Wow.
don't know why, but I just didn't really like it at all. So that didn't really last that long. And honestly, I didn't really play that many games on the PlayStation 4. I ended up selling it after about a year and just completely quit gaming for, gosh, it must have been 2.5, 3 years. Um, but at that time, I had moved in with my sister. So and I still live with my sister now, but in that 2 to 3 years of not gaming, to be honest, I have no clue what I did. I don't remember. I don't know what I did for fun other than just work and I guess watch TV. Um, I have a pretty bad memory, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you what I did during that time. Anyway, so we moved a couple times, like 3 or 4 times, me and my sister. Finally, I started sort of getting interested in gaming again, and I started watching gaming YouTube videos, and I decided to build a PC. So, luckily at that time, I had built up some good credit, and I had a good credit card. So, I just put it all on the credit card. I said, fuck it, and I built a pretty nice PC, got a good monitor, and that's about the time Warzone came out. And actually, before Warzone, I downloaded Escape from Tarkov because that had been what I had been watching on YouTube, and I sort of liked it because it was sort of realistic. Um, Turns out I liked watching it more than I liked playing it, and so I got frustrated because it was so complicated. But then I found Warzone and Call of Duty, and I sort of found that, I guess, that balance of hard enough or realistic enough, but still fun. So, yeah, I started playing Warzone a few weeks after it came out. I think I played like 100 games before I got my first win. And I was playing solos. Yeah, it was all solos. And actually my first oh, go ahead.
I was just about to say that that's a lot of games played without a win.
Yeah. Well, and it was also that was the first time that I had ever really gamed on keyboard and mouse. So I was learning how to
Oh
play on
yeah,
keyboard
yeah.
and mouse because before the only, like I said, the only thing I'd played on was PlayStation. So I was playing on keyboard and mouse. I played mostly solo games. I played about 100 games, but actually my first win wasn't a solo game. I had random queued into a trios match. Met these two guys, and we had a pretty solid game. They got me my first dub, and after that I slowly started winning solo games, and then random queuing more often. And that's where I met. Well, that's where I met you. That's where I met my best friend Corey. I mean, pretty much everybody that I know and talk to now came from random queuing in Warzone matches. So, but yeah, I started getting better on keyboard and mouse. Pretty quickly fell in love with sniping. I don't know why really I was attracted to sniping. I think it's mainly just because um, maybe the speed at which you could kill people. I mean, back then it was all the snipers were one shot headshot pretty much at any range, and I don't know. It's just fun to me. I was really drawn to sniping more than ARs. I was like a SMG sniper, so because I liked being aggressive, but I liked pulling the sniper out in the situations where most people would use an AR. I got really good at downing people super quick at like mid range, and that's why I liked it so much. Um, yeah, so I started sniping. Then when Warzone switched maps and they started adjusting the stats on the guns and stuff and made the snipers pretty much useless. That's sort of when Call of Duty sort of died for me. Like that's where it started the whole death process for me because I mean I mainly played not only just to hang out with friends but mainly to snipe. So when that happened, I started losing interest, but I still played to hang out with friends. I did really start to get better at ARs though, so I was enjoying playing with ARs, but I always missed sniping. Like in the back of my head, I was always sort of bored because I couldn't snipe. And then, slowly just lost interest, and I started going more toward less gaming and more behind the scenes stuff here at MOCH Empire, which let's see. I'm sort of jumping ahead, but I sort
No, no, you're good.
well
That's good.
okay, when I joined MOCH Empire, I was joining as a gamer, as a content creator, but that didn't really last long. A few months, I started losing interest in gaming and streaming and all that. But I had started to help, like behind the scenes, like with the logo design and just throwing out ideas mainly for the org, things that I think could help it sort of move forward in a good direction. And so I sort of transitioned around the time that let's see, it was sort of in between. Warzone 1 and then Warzone 2 that released recently. It was a few months before Warzone 2 released that I really started getting heavy into the design, like the graphic design, logo design, stuff like that. So that's sort of where I'm at now, is mainly doing the behind the scenes stuff. Um, and I really like it. It's fun, less stressful than trying to play a game that I don't enjoy. So that's where I am.
Yeah, Call of Duty for me has just ay ay ay. I guess because I've played it recreational for years and I've played it competitively for years, and from both standpoints, I just cannot play the game. Warzone 2.0, there's some really cool features, but uh, I enjoyed playing Blackout. I actually did like Blackout, and as far as this new Modern Warfare 2 game, I really love the campaign. That's a big deal for me. Is the campaign of the games. The Modern Warfare 2019 had a good campaign. This one has a good campaign. As far as multiplayer, when the game dropped, for the first 3 to 4 days, you couldn't queue up with more than 3 people because it would break the lobby. Your game constantly crashed. You have to restart the application,
Yeah.
and that just kind of was the last straw that broke the camel's back for me. That's why I started playing more Apex and then not playing at all anything, just because I just didn't have a desire to play anything anymore as far as Call of Duty. And I just like, it. I played maybe like 3 games of Warzone 2.0,
hmm
and I was like, yeah, nah, I'm good.
It just doesn't
I
feel the
just like,
same. It's
nah, it
not at
doesn't.
all.
It's just, and then the whole thing with the attachments and then tuning the attachments. It's just like, what are we doing here? Is this amateur hour? Like, what are we doing now? And so yeah, I can't pick up the game at all. It's just, I'm pretty sure maybe if I put more time in, you know, to Warzone, maybe I'll start enjoying it more. But just from watching and just from playing the little bit that I have played, I don't know. It doesn't do it for me
Yeah, I
at
feel the
all.
same. Like I feel like I could get into it maybe if I had started when it came out, but at the end of the day, I know that's not really what I enjoy doing, so I'd almost feel like it's a chore just to spend my time playing when I could be doing other things.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. But you segued into like your behind the scenes. You've been getting more fluent in Adobe,
Yes.
like After Effects and Photoshop. How hard was it? Because those programs can be tricky. I have experience in those programs. They can, and you still constantly learning like
Yeah, of
new
course.
things. They always constantly updating stuff. How hard was it for you to get more fluent into that, like putting the control, not the controller, putting the mouse and key, well, you really didn't put it down because you're still using it to, I guess, stepping
Yeah.
away from
Stepping
stepping
away.
away from
Yeah.
gaming, and like spending so much time on the game to now transitioning more into behind the scenes. How hard and how long did it really take you to become really from a beginner in those programs to like where you are now?
So I would say I'm still a beginner in the programs. I think um what helps me is, well, you start to realize that the more you learn about one, and not just the program itself, but just like certain terms, certain like the terminology, the just the all the different aspects that go into digital creating, whether it's like the different types of like track mats, like the alpha, like the transparent. Like you just start to learn about the whole thing, and I feel like when it comes to digital creation, whether it's graphic design, Photoshop, like video production, editing, there's so much, they're all connected in a way. So I think, like I said, I'm still a beginner at all of it, but I'm slowly, like you said, I'm always learning. So it's sort of a hard question to answer, honestly. I feel like the more I learn about one thing, the more it applies to another thing. So it's mainly just a learning process. But I'm really enjoying it, and I feel like if I can get to the point where, actually, there's not a certain goal that I have in mind as far as skill level. I think if I could say anything, it would just be to be able to do what I want to do quickly and efficiently, then that would just be my main goal, which I'm not there yet, but like you said, I'm getting there just slowly.
Yeah, like you said, it's a learning experience. That's as humble as it gets. You know,
Yeah.
'cause I've seen, where you started and where you are now. It's just, it, you know, the sky is not even the limit. The universe is, and according to scientists, the universe is still expanding. So therefore, there is no limit.
Right.
And so, like the progress you've gone through, the process and the progress, it's like shows like, man, this dude really is taking this. Like, I'll be hitting you up, it's like, hey, you got this graphic? No, I'm watching the tutorial. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, this dude's gonna learn more than me. Like, he's gonna be showing me how to do stuff on this program. That's great, you know. That's what we need. For those of you who don't know, we did our rebranding a couple of months back. Dozy's the one who created the new logo, and it looks great. Like I saw the beanies, the embroidery and everything. It looks really nice on that. A
Nice.
lot of people love it, and we can do a lot more, with this new logo. So I mean, for those of you who love the logo, this is the man to thank right here. Um, he popped up one day. He's like, "Hey, I think we need a new logo." He's like, the one we have is not doing it." And I was like,
Well,
"Okay, well, go for it." And in what, 48 hours, give or take,
yeah, it was a
less than
process.
that.
It was a process, but I
Yeah,
want to sort of
yeah,
interject one thing. Like, I was telling Corey this the other day. I was looking back at like all the versions, the first, second, third, fourth versions of this new logo, and I was looking at the first and second version, and I'm like, that really sucked. And I'm like, one person is
you cut out.
really not enough to do,
Oh wait,
like, to be successful. Like in almost anything, you always
wait,
need multiple
you,
people.
you cut out there. I don't think I heard you.
Oh, okay. You hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
I think it was my computer just kind of froze a little bit.
Okay. Mainly I was saying how um while I did design the logo, it was through the help of like with you, with Skunk, with Corey. Like on my own, I might have left it at version 1 and 2, and looking back, I'm so much more happy with the logo now, like after we got multiple people's input on how it looked and what needed to change. So I think
Right.
it's always going to be a collaborative effort, and I'm happy with the way it turned out, but only because we had multiple people sort of giving their input into it.
Oh yeah, for sure. It did help. But the fact that you even, decided to pursue that, and go for that stood out too.
Yeah.
It's like you wasn't afraid of trying to find a new logo in the time frame we needed.
Hmm.
And luckily for us, we didn't really fully start production on a lot of merchandise and a lot of other branding, like getting the poly mailers to ship out, the cards and all of that. Because if we would have had all of that with the old logo, that would have been
True.
like a lot of wasted,
Wasted
energy,
money. Yeah.
time, money, and materials. And so the timing, I think, was perfect. And yeah, the input from everybody, and you draw it up and then you send it, and we sit there and look at it like, well, can we skew this down? Or can we do this? And then trying it different ways. It was definitely a collaborative effort, but it all started with your idea to rebrand and help the branding grow better. So, mad props to that. And we started on Illustrator, right? With that, was
So
it Illustrator?
yeah, and like I'm still very much a novice in Illustrator because I prefer working in Photoshop, but they're two different type of programs. So I'm still learning Illustrator. Um, the main reason you have to use Illustrator is because of the format of the files that it needs to be, so we can use the logo for pretty much anything we need to without worrying about it looking bad. So yeah, Illustrator is what I use to design the logo. All the other graphics and stuff, I mainly use Photoshop.
Mm. Yeah, I'm not much of a. I've used Illustrator like once.
Hmm.
I mainly use like a lot of Photoshop, After Effects, Premiere, but Illustrator, I'm not a. I don't know really nothing about that. I know there's a lot of things you can do, like you said,
Hmm.
and a lot of people use it. I'm just like, I can't draw to save my life anyway.
Well, me neither.
3D animation, I'm really good with, like Maya, Autodesk,
Hmm.
Cinema, 4D, Poser, 3D. Manga Studio EX. I love all that. Computer animation, oh yeah, say less, you know.
Yeah.
But drawing on paper, the best I can do is a mean stick figure. That's about it. That's all I got for you.
Hey.
So illustrators, like I couldn't really get into that trying to draw and everything. Like, have you ever thought about you've seen those people when they have those programs and they're actually drawing with their mouse or whatever and all these concepts? Have you ever really thought about or have you done that? Like, is it really difficult for you or does it just come naturally?
Well, um, you're really talking about more like digital art, like the people who,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
more like digital art.
I am interested in it because, well, my main interest in Photoshop is it's called photo manipulation, basically taking a bunch of different images and sort of mashing them all into one picture, doing the color grading, the lighting, just to make it look like compositing is basically what it is, photo compositing. So, and what you can do is if you are sort of a digital painter or a digital or if you're good at painting digitally, I should just say that, then that can really improve the work of your or the art that you make. So I am sort of trying to get into that as well. Like I said, the more I learn about how to do one thing, the more I'm like, well, if I knew how to do this, it would make that better. So I'm trying to get into that as well. That's mainly a Photoshop thing though. Now as far as like logo design and stuff, that's not really my main field of interest, so I'm not sure how far I'll go with like Illustrator and like designing logos and stuff. It's good knowledge to have, but my main interest is in Photoshop and photo manipulation, stuff like that.
Photo
Yeah.
manipulation. Love that. Love that. Um, so I guess that kind of segues into like your next year goals. Like I said, we're heading into 2023.
hmm
Um, outside of um, I guess gaming. Um, I know you used to stream. Do you ever plan on maybe like streaming gameplay or streaming you showcasing like what you're doing on a project? You know how some people they might stream their music or stream their video editing.
Yeah.
Is that something that you ever think that you will ever do as well?
I'm definitely not opposed to it. I think my main priority right now is getting more comfortable with the software, like with Photoshop, with After Effects, all the creative softwares that I need to, because there's so much that I don't know how to do. I'm sort of at a point now where I'm still watching tutorials for the best way to do what I'm trying to do. So my main priority is getting to a point where I'm fluent in the software where I can, like I said, do what I want to do. Because the main limiting thing right now isn't imagination, it's sort of how to do it or how to accomplish it. And there's so many different ways to do it. There's different tools you can use to get the same result. So I'm trying to become comfortable with the software. Eventually, if I mean, yeah, I'm not opposed to it. If I could find interested people who want to watch me either photo edit or video edit or whatever I'm doing, then I wouldn't be opposed to it. It's just sort of not really on the top priority list right now.
Gotcha. Yeah, I feel that. Feel that. Talk a little bit about. I know there's like a lot of people, specifically Call of Duty too. Call of Duty used to be console based heavy,
hmm
and it still really kind of is. But a lot of the pros and pro ams or amateurs in the challenges bracket, they've been getting PCs and using a controller because, like, PC has been MR for the longest time. But now it's like since the past 1 or 2 years, I've seen a lot more people transition over to PC for gaming. Do you do you think that by the end of 2023 that because I know there's some speculation about PlayStation coming out with another console
hmm
soon. I don't know how true that is, but and I know consoles is gonna always be there because of the price point and the casual player. But do you think that let's say we get another game because this Call of Duty game is going to be for another 2 years, well for another year, right?
Yeah.
This year as well. Do you think that there's going to come a game that's going to be as competitive as like Call of Duty, Valorant, and all this, that is more geared towards PC, like Valorant's more PC. Well, Valorant is only PC. Overwatch, mainly PC. I think the only game that was catered to more controller was COD. Let's say there's another game that comes out and people get heavy into that competitively. Do you think it's going to be more programmed or made solely for people who are on PC or balanced for all platforms? It's like PC the new way, because you have like the VR. A lot of people get into the Oculus
Yeah.
and the Oculus Rift and all that, the Meta universe and all that. I feel like PC is not taking over console. Well, they kind of already have, but like, do you see more games that are going to be released more geared to PC rather than console?
I would say it depends on the game type. I think for competitive games, competitive players are always going to want to use the best, um, like technology they can, and PC is always going to be an updated PC is always going to be better than an updated console when it comes to things like um, frame rate and just altogether a better experience. So I think when it comes to companies making games, um, maybe it depends on the type of game it is. I would say so for like competitive shooters. I would say as long as there's crossplay and like there's a version of the game where console and PC can play together, then the competitive gamer is always going to choose PC. Um, Now, when it comes to things like just big open worlds, like maybe single player or like there's so many different types of games. You got indie games, platformer games. So it just really depends. But I would say competitively, yeah, PC is always going to be what people go for.
Yeah, and then you have a lot of people who play mouse and keyboard when they come up with the controller player. We've talked about this on our previous episodes.
Hmm.
Is the aim assist and how the game mechanics are better for a controller player versus PC. Like the tracking, you have to track players. Um, I mean, and I don't know if that's just solely because of Call of Duty or this, because like even in Apex, there's a there's I wouldn't say beef, but there's a funny tit for tat, for controller players versus PC players, mouse and keyboard. Like, oh, that must be a roller player,
Yeah,
or oh, look at that aim assist, So I guess I get why maybe some game developers would probably be inclined to make a game solely for PC or solely for console. Like Escape from Tarkov and Valorant they're only available on PC.
yeah.
You know, and those mechanics are geared and graphics too. Graphics are a big thing, and then you got the FOVs. I feel like it's just, and maybe it's just because Call of Duty is just one of the few esports that was just console heavy until up to like 2 years ago when they became like cross plat, and then you have more games coming out for cross platform. There's always going to be, that gap. Uh, I guess that aim assist gap, controller versus PC is like, I don't know if people are gonna be able to play cross plat on a competitive level. Cause like online, for instance, you could have people on one team on PC and people on another team like controller. Are you gonna get really mad or complain about the controller player having aim assist and that's why you lost that gunfight, especially when there's money on the line?
Yeah.
It's like, how do you, I guess I'm thinking like, how will the developers balance that in future games if those games are going to be cross plat? Or is it going to be like this game for esports is solely PC and then this game is solely for console? And then you just cut your audience and players in half if you do that, because cross plat is now like the new thing now. People want to play with people on different consoles and platforms. I mean, you have Minecraft available on Nintendo Switch, so somebody can join a Minecraft server from Nintendo Switch, PC, if they have Bedrock Edition, of
Hmm.
course. Java, I think, is only available on PC, if I'm not mistaken, but Bedrock is available on all platforms. So you have games like just like that. But for, like you said, FPS shooters, being that there's that aim assist, being that there's the FOV, being that there's the tracking, and then the movement. PC gamers have some insane movement, you know. They just wiggle their mouse and then they're gone, you know. You don't even know where they went. It's like they teleported somewhere. It's like, Jesus, you know. And it is just, I guess right now, and to be fair, it is the cross-platform for Call of Duty and PC is still kind of new.
Hmm.
I think a lot of people are still getting adjusted to controller players playing with and against PC players. I guess maybe just might take another year for there to be some type of balance. But I mean, the fact that you have the FOVs and the aim assist, that's, I mean, what are they gonna do? Take it out completely out of the game? You know, they can't do that.
The only way for it to be balanced, I think, is, well, part of that responsibility comes on the developer because, like with at least with Call of Duty, aim assist, it does need to.
You could jack that aim assist all the way up too. There's like a little bar.
Yeah, it's
It's like,
hard.
that's crazy.
It's hard because um it's hard to make a controller input be balanced with a mouse and key input because they're better at different things, and uh, it's a difficult thing to I think the responsibility is going to come on to the developer figuring
Oh,
out
for
how
sure.
to
Oh yeah.
balance it to where the players are happy, because as long as it's unbalanced, there's always going to be the whole controller aim assist versus mouse and key. Because, and another thing is, like myself, someone who enjoys playing on mouse and key, being at a disadvantage definitely against a controller player, even though I might be the better player, like I might be a better, like a smarter player, like I might outmaneuver them, outplay them, in every aspect except I miss a couple bullets because I don't have aimbot, like perfect tracking, and I still lose. That's when it starts to get frustrating. And then I mean, from a different perspective, a controller player might not be able to move as smoothly as they want to, but they can still win the gunfight. So I think there needs to be a better balancing system, and it would have to be almost perfect for there to be no issues. But I mean, the only other way around that is to limit, when it comes to like, apart from casual play, the only other way around that would be to limit the input for competitive, like when money's on the line, to say you can only use this input or that input, because that's the only like fair way to do it.
Right. And I've seen some of these, you know, top tier streamers and gamers. They're really good at either or. You've seen some
Hmm.
of these controller players from Call of Duty. They play mouse and keyboard, and they're still pooping on people. So I guess some can do either or and both, you know. And I think I guess, a lot of pros are, I guess, getting more fluent in both keyboard and mouse and controller. So it's not, I guess, it wouldn't be an issue for them.
Right.
And then, you know, some gamers, they hop different games. You know, some come from Halo to Call of Duty, and some from Call of Duty back to Halo. Even though that's still controller, but you might have a Call of Duty player go from Call of Duty to Valorant, you know, which is a whole different. That's not too far fetched because I'm pretty sure somebody's gonna probably do that if Valorant still takes off. I don't know how. I don't know, I haven't looked at Valorant's numbers, but they're still pretty high up there.
Right.
Um, and so you might have a controller player that's not doing well in one Call of Duty title, and they try their hand out in Valorant and find that they're really good in Valorant. Who's to say that they don't pick that up as a career? You know, becoming a Valorant player.
True. They
Um,
always could. Um,
yeah.
I think the frustrating part about it is players want to feel like the only thing that stands between them and another player is skill level, and
Right. Exactly.
and
Yep.
like I said earlier, from a mouse and key player's perspective, when I know that the only reason I lose a gunfight is not because of my skill level, but because of a game mechanic, that's the problem you run into. So I would almost rather only play against mouse and key players, because if I
Hmm.
die, I know that they're just a better player than me, or they outplayed me, in general. So that's
Facts.
the struggle for me.
Yeah, if you lose the yeah, like you said, if you lose the gunfight, that's when the whole mouse and keyboard goes out the window.
Yeah.
You're like, damn it! Or you'd be like that one streamer. I'm not gonna name names, but I think we all know who we're talking about. He broke his keyboard over his desk, and then he got banned, and then he had to apologize because I guess he just was raging too much.
Yeah.
But like you can, I mean, you can even go on YouTube and just type in, gamers raging breaking the keyboards. There's tons of clips. I was like, Jesus, that's $100, $200, $300 keyboard you just smash in half,
I think one
and
of
then you
the
go buy another one. It's like, oh my God.
yeah, I think one of the main problems with games these days, especially recently, is game developers are not really listening to their player base when it comes to when the things that the players want. So there's so many
Right.
issues with
That's very
games
unfortunate
because
too.
because it's all about the money, and I don't think that games shouldn't have a goal to make money, but when you care more about that bottom line than players having fun. And another thing is I think players, myself included, have a responsibility to let these big corporations know that um I mean if everybody stopped playing the game, that would be a lot more helpful than complaining about the way the game is and still playing it every day. Because at the end of the day, if as
Right.
long as you're playing their game and they're making money off of you, they're not going to listen. And it's
Right.
sad because that's just the way corporate capitalism is, or just the way that it works. Um, but
That's my thoughts exactly
yeah,
too. It's like make a stand. Like let your voice be heard through your actions.
hmm
They'll fix it. They got a million people playing a game, and 80% stops playing and stops spending money on it, and tweeting out or posting on social media about how bad it is. I mean, I think they're gonna adhere to the message.
definitely more
If
than they
they
are
want to
now.
stay in business, at least.
Yeah,
You
100%.
would think. Yeah, I agree with that. It's like rather than complain. I mean, and to a degree, if you have a big enough audience and you're complaining, uh, then other people might complain on your behalf on social media. Granted, maybe
hmm
maybe, but just stop playing the game. Make like your actions gotta speak louder than your word. Excuse me. Your actions. Oh my God, am I dying? Let me take a sip of this water. Your actions have to speak louder than your words. It has to, and that's everything in life, and especially game. If you want change to happen, you look throughout history. The gaming world, the real world. Change really only happens when there's action. You know,
That's true.
you gotta voice it and follow it up with action. And unfortunately, a lot of things don't get changed inside the game as far as bugs and fixes because there's not enough action behind it to push the developers, like you said, to change it.
And these corporations aren't. I mean, you can't really blame anybody that works in them because corporations sort of have a life of their own, and like it's that makes up. I mean, everybody that's in it sort of makes up the overall, but it's the people at the very top that's who's controlling like what happens,
Right?
because a lot of the people that work for these companies,
They have no control over
yeah,
it.
they
They're
would
they
change
they're
it.
probably just as mad,
Yeah.
as the gamers. They're 100% hands around. I like there's a there's a YouTuber out there. I guess I'll throw him a plug. Is Shad Shad's kind of funny or whatever.
hmm
He did a video when the whole um dance thing was happening and people were just cheating and having crazy aim and just no scoping people with an iron sight and they look like a speck on the map. So he did a video on that and he pretended to be like the developer. And the guy's like, "We need to turn this down." And then the I guess the developer's boss is like, "No, turn it up." He's like, "No, this dude is literally cheating." He's like, "Turn it up. I don't care."
Yeah.
I was like, "That's probably what's going on in that office. Is you have a developer sitting there listening to the cries of the people in the gaming community, and like, we need to fix this bug or fix this issue. Nah, man. In fact, we're not gonna fix it. We're gonna make it worse.
It's all about the money at the end of the day.
It's all about the money, dude. Dineros, all about the dineros."
Right.
Um, yeah. So we looked at a list of games months ago that were coming out. Do you know of any games that are coming out that you're excited for?
Um,
or
Not
have come
really.
out that you excited to
Not
play?
really. I got the new Need for Speed, and it's okay,
Oh
but I'm
yeah,
sort of waiting on an update because they don't have cops in the online mode or the multiplayer mode, only in the story mode. And I don't really care about campaign or story mode, so if they add cops, I'll maybe get back into vibing out in Need for Speed. As far as other games, I'll check Steam and just like Google games that are coming out every once in a while to try, but I'm sort of picky
hmm,
when it comes to games. So I don't
gotcha.
really know of any that I'm like super hyped for that are coming out right now.
Yeah, neither did I. I mean, granted, I haven't really followed up on that list of games. I just the three games I've been bouncing back between is COD, Apex, and Minecraft. Is just the only the only three that I'm rotating between. I would like to finish up Horizon Zero Dawn though.
I've never played that one either. That's one I've never tried.
There's I know there's a large community on GTA. There's a term. Um, it's like when people do like the role playing in GTA. I forgot the term it was.
I'm not sure.
It's like it's like people are really big into it too, and they like people who play as cops. People play with like they have like their own group, like their gangs, whatever. Um, I think it's called GTA role playing. I don't know. It may be GTA 5 RP. It's some terminology, but there's a big um there's a big I guess I can't think of the term. I guess
It's a big community. Yeah,
community.
community. It's a big community.
Yeah, there's a big community on that. Have you ever thought? Because you mentioned like the cops and the Need for Speed.
hmm
Have you ever thought about doing one of those like GTA role playing?
It's funny because me and Corey were actually talking about this the other day. I haven't tried. I know that like with those big role-playing servers, it's really hard to get into, like to get access into the servers. No,
Right.
GTA is something I've never really. I think I played it once back when I had a PS4. I downloaded it and played it once, and I didn't really care for it. Um, I have thought about it. It's just one of those things that it's been out so long that I feel like it would be hard for me to get into. Something about like playing an older game that's just been out for a long time doesn't really appeal to me. But it would probably be fun. Because like
Yeah.
role playing stuff like that, it's always fun. I've just never tried it.
Yeah, I saw a few streamers like on Facebook and Twitch doing it,
hmm
and the guy was sitting on the side of the road as a cop, and somebody blew, like just zoomed by.
hmm
He put the lights on and stopped them. He got out the car. He's like, "Do you know how fast you're going?" And the person's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." This is like this is kind of fun. It's kind of cool. Like,
Yeah,
but they are hard to get in those servers and stuff because they want people. I mean, there's so many rules. I looked up some of the rules for some of the servers, and like they're strict about it. Like they're really hardcore
it's
about that.
serious. Yeah, they take it really serious, which is cool. I mean, if you're gonna have a little role playing server, you probably should take it serious. But
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
it would be
Yeah.
fun.
Uh, I think I would be. I'm interested to probably. I mean, hell, maybe maybe in a few years I might start my own if GTA 5 is still a thing. That would be kind of cool. Because the one thing I did like about GTA, or the one thing I still do, not did, but still do like about GTA, is the fact that it's so massive. Like with the multiplayer,
hmm
like you keep driving, you think that you're gonna get to the edge of the map, and there's still more. Like it's just I think that's why it's so big because it's almost like you're actually there. You're actually in the world. You have your own house. You have your own, you have your own set dollar amount, whatever money,
hmm
and you're spending a lot on like vehicles and upgrades and stuff. And you're driving around doing your own thing. And there's other people on there doing their own thing. It's like you're almost in like your own virtual. You kind of like you're in your own virtual world. And I guess for some, maybe it's an escape from reality. Maybe it's just
Definitely.
they really get into it because it's with their friends or people that they like vibing out with. But it's like you're living in another little world, and that's pretty cool.
It is. Have you seen the movie Ready Player One?
Oh yes, that was a great movie.
I love that
Yes.
movie. I think technology's probably going that direction. It might be another 20 years before we get to have an experience like that, like a VR experience where um it's like it would be like GTA 5 but on a completely different level where the world is huge. You could, create your avatar, do anything you wanted in the universe. I think something like that is definitely in the future, like upcoming. Um, it's kind of exciting because when you think about it, the more digital we go as far as is not only with like products and experiences, but Terence McKenna, who was a philosopher, sort of like a great thinker, he passed away, I think, in the year 2000, but he always talked about VR, and he was sort of way ahead of his time. But he sort of envisioned a time where we go back to a point where we get closer to nature and sort of get rid of all of this physical, like we move toward a time where we're much more in tune with nature and living simply, but we have the technology to create entire universes inside technology, and where we would spend our most of our time in those digital universes instead of in this physical universe. I think it's a fun concept to think about. It's very sci-fi ish, but I think it's possible. Um, the hard thing is to would be to envision a future like that where big corporations have no control over these digital universes like they do in the physical universe, because if we do that, it's just going to be a repeat of what we have going on now. And I mean, the rich will be living in, like, have all these access to these amazing things, and people who are poor probably can't even afford to play the or to enter the VR universe. So I'm sort of excited for the future. I'm very optimistic when it comes to technology like that and the opportunities it brings.
That's actually interesting because somebody else was asking me about the same thing. Is did I think that VR was going to be the new thing and that people would be spending more time on it rather than with their friends or family, or as some people say, go outside and touch grass. It's
It
like,
would be hard.
will VR? You say it'd be
It would
hard?
it would be hard to have the balance. I mean, it would take a lot of thought because we can't entirely, I mean, at this point in time, we can't entirely get rid of our physical bodies and just upload our consciousness into these digital universes. But it would be hard to find the balance of staying healthy and taking care of ourselves physically while at the same time designing and creating these digital landscapes to almost live in. Um, it would be hard to sort of find the balance of how do we do it. But I think it's a problem that there's a lot of intelligent people who would love to work on it. I mean, I wouldn't mind being one of them because
Yeah.
it's one of those things that's, I mean, people love talking about like futuristic stuff and like utopias, and it's sort of like an idea like that. Like when you think of the things that could be accomplished, like I said, the hardest part about it is to keep the control away from these big corporations who only care about money, because they limit imagination, they limit human compassion, and all the good things about human nature when it comes up against these greedy corporations. It's they usually always win because they control everything. And I think what it's going to take is it's going to take some brave people. It's going to take some intelligent, brave people to sort of stand up against these these corporations and these organizations that control most of the world as it is now, and say, that we've had enough of that. Because I mean, there's a lot of shit wrong in the world, and it's not like we can't solve it. It's not like we don't have enough money to feed everyone and to take care of everyone. It's just, I mean, that's sort of getting into like a whole other avenue of like philosophy, but I think it all sort of is interconnected. Like if we're talking about, because like if VR does get as big as some people think it will be, and like we do have like a universe that we're all virtually living in,
Hmm.
it
Right.
will. I mean, even in that movie, that's like the main theme of like Ready Player One, is like trying to keep the whole spirit of the world away from the greedy corporations. So, but I think, yeah, I think it'd be hard, but I'm looking forward to the future, honestly. Hope I'm alive to see it happen.
Yeah, it's like there's so, like you said, there's so much to look forward to as far as technology. And like, I mean, you go to Japan, they're like light years, it feels like, ahead of everybody.
Hmm.
You know, we think like we as in America, we think like we're, you know, we've got this, we got that. No, like you go to Japan, there's stuff there that I didn't even know existed. You know, back when I was still working at Best Buy, you know, we had the PlayStation, the PSP, PlayStation Portable.
Hmm.
We had the 16 gigabyte card and the 32 gigabyte card, and we didn't have the 64 gigabyte storage card. We were like getting it in a few like months. Japan already had that. It's like wow. I mean, of course, Sony I think is headquartered like out there as well.
Right.
Or, but I'm like they already got 64 gigabytes over there. We only got 32.
I, f-
What is this
I feel
madness?
like people in
But
America are sort of living sort of
in the
behind. Yeah,
past,
they're living in the past. But
low
that's
key we are
yeah.
kind of sort of.
Yeah, I mean, and when you think about it's sort of by choice, even though people don't realize it. Like anything you want to learn is in your pocket at any time. It's like a Google
Oh
search
yeah.
or a scientific study search. I mean, anything in the universe you
You
want to
have the
learn about.
entire world in the palm of your hand.
Exactly. And people don't appreciate that. They'll spend their time scrolling these mindless apps because that's what's shoved down their throat by these corporations. Because as long as people don't use their brain, they're easy to control and manipulate. So I think, like I said, it's going to take some brave people to sort of start thinking for themselves and start really realizing like the future depends on us. Like what kind of future do we want to create for not only ourselves but for our children and their children? Because right now we live in a reality that's pretty shitty, to say the least.
So would you say that maybe because I think this is to be the case too. You think that with people who have that same mindset and maybe who do look at that, do you think that's the reason why they want VR to happen so that they can escape from this crappy reality that they're living in?
I'm not sure.
You know, I feel like some people are to a degree. I don't think everyone, and I don't think a vast majority either.
Mhm.
But I think there is a small percentage of people who really want this VR thing to take off and take place because they are sick of living in their actual reality and they want to live in an alternative reality to where maybe they have more control over their environment, more control over their feelings and things, and it's just an escape for them. I
I
don't
would
doubt.
agree with
I
that.
don't
Yeah.
doubt it because it is kind of sad that you see all these people. They're just. I mean, you see it every day. I'm sure when you're at work or when you're maybe uh, out and about, people just walking around on their phone, just swiping mindlessly. It's like, yeah, it's cool to watch a few of these little videos and shorts and reels. They're funny, but I mean, how much time are you spending on that versus how much time you're actually doing something productive? If you calculate all the hours you're on social media and just on TikTok and Instagram, just looking at reels and swiping and swiping and swiping, it's like if you calculate all those hours up, and if you didn't do that for all those hours, and then you tell me, oh, I didn't have time to do this, or I didn't have time to work on my business or something, like, yeah, you did.
Yeah,
Calculate all those hours. You know, somebody once said the billionaire and the beggar both have 24 hours in a
they
day.
do.
It's true. It's just all about time management. So I agree wholeheartedly. It's like, I think it is by choice to a degree. For some people, unfortunately, maybe it's they just got dealt a bad hand in life and just
Of
like
course.
they try to get out of that hole they've been put in, whether they put themselves in it or somebody put them in that hole, and it's just they see no light at the end of the tunnel. There's no light, and so they just sit there thinking that it's done and dusted. But where there's a will, there's a way. You crawl out there and you know make something happen. I guess make something good out of a really crappy situation.
I think the
Um,
dangerous thing about the whole thing about trying to escape into VR, or I mean, right now it's the same with video games. That's what people use video games as an escape
but innocent escape.
from
Yep,
the reality.
most people.
The dangerous thing about that is those same people who are trying to escape from this reality, um, they're not really escaping if they use VR to escape, because to really escape this reality, you have to realize that you have the power to change it. And people don't realize that, because the lie they're told all their life is that's the way things are, and how can one person change the world? And it can feel overwhelming to like not to know something's off. Like, I mean, some people know, like, their whole life they feel something's wrong. They feel like there's got to be something more to life, but they just don't know what it is. But until they realize that their ideas can literally change the world, they're not going to ever escape that sort of feeling. Because when you think about it, anything, any part of reality as we have it now, as shitty as it is, it existed in the mind of another human being first. And I know we've talked about this in the past, but all it takes is one good idea and enough people believing in that idea to make a big difference. I mean, for God's sake, look at religion, look at Jesus. I mean, look how that, I'm not saying Jesus wasn't real. I'm just saying, like, that idea of Jesus Christ has radically shifted history. So if anyone has a good enough idea and enough people believe in it, you quite literally can change the world. So I think people have to realize that they themselves have this power, like their ideas have power, and all it takes is enough people to believe in it, and amazing things can happen. But you do have to be brave
Yeah.
to stand up against the people who control everything. So, because people with good ideas,
That's
they
true.
often end up dead. So it's like you have to play it safe.
That is also
You have
true.
to play it safe.
Yeah, unfortunately. And that kind of piggybacks what we said earlier is about if enough people in the gaming community stood up and said we want change,
Yeah.
all it takes is like you said, what is it? There's like a song and a saying, the power of one. All it starts is with one,
Mm-hmm.
and then with one voice, one unified petition, if you will,
All right.
to get things done. Yeah, I agree, 100%. And I hope, I really do hope that a lot of young upcoming people with really good ideas pursue those ideas to bring about some cool stuff. I'm a huge Marvel nerd,
Mm-hmm.
and I was gonna get into this little trivia with you as well. I did with Viz and Chad when he was on here with DW,
Okay.
Marvel versus DC and all that. But I'm a huge Marvel nerd, and I love DC as well. But how many times are gonna reboot, Batman, right? How many times are gonna reboot Superman movies?
Yeah.
It's getting kind of old. Like, I understand you want to keep the legacy alive. I get that. But I mean, get something new. Get some new characters. Get a new storyline or something. Give me, and I think that's why a lot of people. I mean, I've always was into anime for the past, like, I want to say 8 years to 10 years, 8 to 10, about 10 years now. And so, Attack on Titan is my favorite by far.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the reason why a lot of people are, well, at least a lot of gamers are so into anime, and then more people are hopping on that bandwagon per se, or train, is because they're kind of getting tired of this other stuff. There's nothing else but with anime, there's like something, especially with One Piece. I mean, that they're already like in over 1,000 episodes, and it's still ongoing. I don't think they're ever gonna end. I don't think anybody's ever gonna die on that show.
Yeah.
But no spoilers here. I won't spoil anything. But what Attack on Titan, for me personally, has done, even though it took a long time for the final season to come out, it is like it keeps getting better.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in a lot of other, whether it be comics or other form of media, it's just like it keeps getting worse. I don't know if it's just me, and there's some like Samurai Champloo and Hellsing are in my top 5, and they're underrated. A lot of people don't even know they even exist. I'm like, y'all never seen this show? Yeah, this show is a little low budget, but I mean, the story, the characters, the whole, you know, oof. Like, everybody knows Dragon Ball. We get it.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Naruto. We get it. Okay, that's mainstream. But if you go into like other animes and actually sit down and watch, and and connect with the character or something, or to the storyline, you will understand why a lot of people are into that. And I think they did. DC did do like a Batman anime, And that was actually pretty cool. Batman had samurai swords. It was pretty dope. It was pretty cool and unique to see. I forgot what it was called, but I'm pretty sure if you Google Batman anime, it'll pop up.
Okay.
It was actually pretty cool. It was decent. It's like why can't we get more diversity in here? You know, how many times are you gonna make a movie about a superhero that's scared of green rocks? It's like,
Yeah. Sort of outplayed.
and yeah, and maybe that's just my little nerdiness rant going on right there. But back to you. All right, so let's get into this. All right, so Marvel or DC?
Uh, that is just overall. Are we talking TV or movies or
Ooh, that's a good question, but I would say overall,
overall? I'd say Marvel.
I would too. Now DC shows have rocked, and their older movies have really done good, but and DC has so much potential. DC has so many great characters, and they just I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. All right, Star Wars or Star Trek?
I have never seen either, so I can't really speak on that.
Dang, a lot of people say that.
Really?
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's wild. That's wild. I would have to say Star Wars for me.
Okay.
I have seen the old Star Trek. I have seen some of the new Star Trek movies, and I've seen a few of the new Star Trek shows.
Okay.
Um, there's only been a very few amount of Star Treks that I actually really liked, as opposed to, and well, one could argue with me, Star Wars has been a very few that I like too, but I've enjoyed more Star Wars movies and characters more than I have Star Trek. So that's the only reason why I'm saying Star Wars.
Okay.
Even though Star Wars has their loads of flops, and it's just
Have you
yeah,
watched the
I'm not gonna go
shows,
down
the
that
new
rabbit hole.
shows that they have coming
The
up?
Star Wars
Yeah.
shows, yeah, like The Mandalorian was great. I love The Mandalorian when it came
Okay.
out. Thought it was great. I haven't dabbled too much into Andor yet,
Okay.
because I've just been busy. I hardly watch shows now. Whenever I get time, it's usually something quick on Netflix, you know.
Yeah.
But I have seen some of the Star Wars shows. I think it's really. I did enjoy The Mandalorian. I will say The Mandalorian was really good.
Okay.
Pepsi or Coke?
Ooh. I guess Coke. I don't really drink Coke or Pepsi that often, but I guess Coke overall taste.
Coca-Cola. Did you know that they actually used to put cocaine in
I
there
did. Yeah,
years
I
ago?
heard that.
All right. Last but not least, will you ever go skydiving?
I already have. I went in 2019.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Talk about that really quickly.
It was fun. I would like to go again because the first time you do it, your adrenaline is like pumping so hard that you can't really experience it. So I feel like I would have to go and then go again shortly after to sort of acclimatize or whatever the word is myself to it and sort of experience it. But it was fun. Um, I got a little sick once because you have to jump tandem like with an instructor. And like when he started like pulling I don't know what they're called, but we sort of went like a loop down. I started getting a little nauseous, but like the actual experience of just it was crazy. Like I said, the adrenaline was so high I couldn't really process all of it, but it was definitely fun. I would do it again.
You hear that, DW? DW said no. When I asked him that question, I barely got it out of my mouth. He's like, no, no, no.
What?
And then Chad kept asking him. He's like, no, I'm not about to go out like that.
There's a lot of statistics. I mean, if you look at the statistics, it's not
That's true.
dangerous. I mean, it's not. It's more dangerous to drive your car to work every day than it is to skydive. So I mean, I think the thing that people don't, the thing about skydiving, which makes it a little scary, is you don't. If something goes wrong, it's okay. For one thing, I think most skydiving accidents are due to user error, whether it's just forgetting to pull your chute quick enough. Because I mean, most parachute accidents are like veteran parachuters or skydivers, whatever, because they get so comfortable with the whole process that they may not check their altitude meter as much as they should, and they just get caught up in looking around, and they realize, oh shit, I'm about to hit the ground. So that I think that's the most of accidents. It's very rare that I'm pretty sure it's very rare that people jumping in tandem with an instructor, because number one, those instructors, I mean, that's what they do all day, every day. So I guess there is the chance that an instructor would get lazy, but I think it's very rare. But like with skydiving, if something goes wrong, you don't really have any control. Like you're probably gonna die. But like when it comes to driving, like if you
That's comforting.
yeah, yeah. If you're driving, if you think driving that you sort of have control, at least if you're aware of your
Right. You can
surroundings.
hurry up and turn your car,
Yeah.
or try to brake or
There's
stop.
a little
or
more leeway.
jump out.
Yeah,
or-
yeah.
Yeah, I feel
Bec-
that. Yeah, 100%. That's true. That's accurate.
Because even if you're being careful driving and somebody else isn't, if you're aware, you can usually tell, unless you just get blindsided at like a stoplight or something. But I would say, yeah, skydiving is cool.
There's comfort in knowing that if and when you do die because this shoot failed, you couldn't control it. There's comfort in knowing that
Well,
the death was out of your
there's
hands.
also comfort in knowing that you probably won't feel it. Like it's gonna be pretty much instantaneous. That you're
Oh,
like,
yeah, that's true.
it's not gonna be that bad.
That's deep.
Yeah,
Mm.
I don't know. Skydiving is cool. I always encourage people to have experiences because, I mean, people have pretty.
Well, Miss Frizzle said it best. Take chances, make mistakes, get messy. I don't know if I said it right, but
Okay.
Magic School Bus, right?
I don't know, but I agree with that.
You've never seen that show?
No.
All right, we're ending it here, folks. Sorry you had to endure that.
Yeah.
No, you've never seen that show for real?
No, I haven't.
Oh my god.
There's a lot I haven't seen. A lot of music I haven't listened to. A lot of movies I haven't seen. Shows. I'm pretty much just sheltered when it comes to everything.
What a tough life you lived.
It's been okay. I'm trying to branch out now that I'm in my 20s, but
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I'm 30 and I feel it every now and then in my knees.
mhm.
I'm like, oh no, my knee, no, that's not how it goes, please. But that's just because I was working a lot when I was in my early 20s and just not bending down correctly to pick up heavy objects.
Yeah.
And, I was playing basketball one time and somebody hit me and I fell and hit my knee really hard. So I never got that checked. So it's just a bunch of other stuff. It's not like because it's old age guys, you know.
Yeah.
I'm still young.
You're
Okay.
still young.
Just a lot of things happened to my body that made it fall apart quicker than most. But you're on social medias, right? You're on. I know you have your Twitch. What others? Where can they find you at? Where are the social
Ooh.
medias you got?
I've got to make a new, pretty much got to revamp all my social medias because I'm not really big on them. I've got to make a Twitter. So yeah, we can put it, once I make them, we can put it in the description of this video if they want to find me.
Sounds good. You can also find him on our website. You can email him if you guys ever want to have some design work done. This guy is amazing. I mean, just look at our logo. I mean, just look how badass that logo is. I mean, come on now. Come on. Come on. Like, but yeah, thank you for taking the time, Dozy, to hop back on the podcast.
Sure.
Talk a little bit more about you as an individual and going down the philosophy route. Does the D in Dozy stand for doctor?
No, it doesn't actually.
Doctor of philosophy. No, I'm just kidding. But no, thank you so much, guys. If you have anything you want us to talk about, again, as always, drop it in the comments. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Follow all of our social media platforms. Be sure to check out the website. We did just launch our merch store not too long ago. And keep up to date with all the tournaments and events that we're going to be having. We're going to be throwing a lot of free tournaments out there, free entry. So grab your teammates together. Maybe you'll win some cash prize, you know what I'm saying? A little moolah, a little extra spending cash for the new year. So be sure to keep up the tabs on that. And you can find these episodes of the HCOM Podcast on our website and YouTube. As always, it's Nox. Y'all be cool, stay safe. Until again, we're out.